Hey, what's up everyone? Nick here, and welcome to The Evil Within, The Assignment. This is going to be Chapter 1, so for those of you who don't know, The Assignment is the first of two DLCs for The Evil Within that focus on Julie Kidman's story. I'm going to be playing on the hardest difficulty, which is called Kurayami mode. It is not Akumu mode, it's actually quite different, and I'll go ahead and explain those differences once we get into the gameplay. But the assignment is going to be 2 chapters. The total Julie Kidman story is going to be 4 chapters, but those other 2 will come later on in the consequence. So for now, let's go ahead and start a new game on, like I said, Kurayami mode. There's going to be an opening cutscene, and then we'll jump into it.
Do you stand with Mobius?
I do. I made my choice.
Alright everyone, so here we go. We first take control of Julie, and I'm going to let you know right off the bat, the first level here, it's very, there's a lot of cutscenes, a lot of short little choppy cutscenes, so I'm going to pop in briefly to deliver the commentary, but just know that there's going to be a few cutscenes here and there. But anyway, you should actually recognize this location. This is the same place where Sebastian woke up at the beginning of Chapter 2 in the main game, and this is where we're waking up as Julie right now. But you can notice that the area is slightly different, and I'm going to talk about why that is as we carry on through the walkthrough. But what you're going to want to do is just follow the path here. You'll see this dead animal, and if you take a right, you'll see some fire leading into a little cave, and that's going to bring about our next cutscene.
Sorry, detectives. Gives it creeps up.
So yeah, it's really interesting. I really enjoyed this DLC because it shows what Julie was doing during the main game, because obviously she wasn't with Sebastian for most of the time. She was kind of off doing her own thing, and as we recall from the main game, it turns out that Julie is she kind of has her own mission. Like, we find out in the main game that she's not just another victim of Ruvik. She's actually here for a reason, and it is this DLC that explains that reason. But it also explains a lot of other backstory. It talks about Dr. Marcelo Jimenez, and it gives some reasons as to... It gives some backstory for Ruvik a little bit, and it talks really about Kidman's mission and why she's here. It's a very, very fun DLC. If you're a fan of the main game, I highly recommend you play it. In the beginning here, there's actually no difference between the regular mode and Kurayami mode. The differences aren't going to come until about 7 minutes into the game. But anyway, make your way down the path here. I do want to point out real quick that there are a number of collectibles to obtain, but I'm not going to be getting those. I'm just going to show you the main game. Anyway, sneak through this crevice here. You'll see Leslie up ahead, and then that's going to bring about another cutscene.
Leslie.
Leslie Withers.
I'm sorry?
Kid, I need you focused. I need your attention. This is a serious matter. Everything we do is a serious matter.
I'm ready.
I'd like to think so, but conviction must be proven with action. As I was saying, your target is Leslie Withers. He's a patient at Beacon Mental Hospital. But he's something more. Simply put, we need him to run our STEM system. Without this asset, our research will mean nothing.
I don't understand. We own Beacon. Why not just take him?
Our relationship with his advisor, Marcelo Jimenez, has become rather strained. The boy is a leverage piece. Jimenez plans to activate a STEM prototype at Beacon without our permission. Obviously, that's unsuitable. Have no illusions. It will be dangerous. Come, take a walk. The nurses are waiting.
Alright, so you're going to gain control again in the headquarters of Mobius. So Mobius is the company that's kind of running things here. They are the ones that invented the STEM system, which is what we were a part of in the main game. That's what Sebastian was trapped in, and that's what Ruvik was controlling. Now you're going. This is really weird. So this cat's gonna jump on your lap, and you're on a couch, and it turns out this is the save system for some reason. Like, for whatever reason, they decided to abandon the typewriter that they used in the main game, and now you save on a couch with a cat. So I do not know where that inspiration comes from. Maybe Julie is a cat lady. I have no idea. I thought it was a little stupid, but it's not a deal breaker. I just thought it was kind of funny, and I wondered why they chose to do that. Anyway, so we're in the Mobius headquarters. Go ahead and follow this path here, and the shadowy man that we were talking to earlier, you're going to go through this doorway here. You're going to go up the escalator, or maybe it's a set of stairs, I can't remember, and we're going to resume our conversation with him, and you'll kind of learn more about Julie's mission and why she's in the STEM system.
If Jimenez activates the system, you'll be pulled in. Hopefully he doesn't. But as a precaution, we've prepared an infusion to prevent contamination.
Like a vaccine? To protect me?
More accurately, to hide you. We developed STEM, but there is a ghost in the system. Something we call Ruvik. It means to keep us out. This infusion should protect you to some extent.
Alright, so again, one more brief little piece of commentary before we get into the bulk of the game. This is going to be the last little cutscene, so just go ahead and follow him, and you will once again resume the conversation.
Why send me alone?
You won't be alone. You'll be with your team from KPD. You'll get a call on the radio reporting an incident at Beacon. Everything will be arranged. But their consequences of little value. In regards to your mission, they're expendable. Come, sit down. We must have that boy. He will enable us to change everything.
I'll come back with him.
I needn't remind you the consequences for failure. Loyalty is a sensitive subject for us. Trust is such a valued commodity in today's world. So once again, I ask you, do you stand with Mobius?
I do. I made my choice.
Now you must back up your words with actions. Do not waver. Now I'm going to count down. And when I'm finished, I'll ask you a series of questions. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now I'd like to ask you some questions. Have you ever felt abandoned by the ones you trusted?
Alright, so finally we get to jump into the gameplay. There are not going to be any more cutscenes until about 30 minutes in or something like that. But as Julie, you're going to wake up and you have now entered the STEM system, and you will notice immediately how dark this game is. Now, I'm going to let you know this is not by my choice. This is not I did not go into the settings menu and turn the brightness all the way down. No, this is what Kurayami mode is. It is STEM in total darkness. The only thing you're going to have to work with is a flashlight, and that's it. And it does make things significantly harder, but overall, I will be honest, the DLC is not that challenging. There's a few tricky parts, but it's nowhere near as tough as the Evil Within on Akumu mode. It's a walk in the park compared to that. It's a lot of fun. It can be kind of frustrating. You're going to see that it's very different from the main game. But anyway, I'm going to have to walk you through this part. So what you're going to do is you're going to see right ahead of you there's this gate with the light coming from behind it. You're going to go up to the gate, and you're going to turn left, and you're going to see there is no light here. You're going to turn left, and you're going to walk as fast as you can. If you run into something, you'll know because Julie stops moving forward. Go ahead and just turn slightly more left, and eventually you should come across this flickering light in the distance, and that's when we get our flashlight. So that initial part there, that's really the only part you're going to have to worry about actually not being able to see. For the rest of it, the flashlight is incredibly effective, and the darkness really becomes, for the most part, it's not noticeable. But I'm going to go ahead and backtrack here just to show you exactly what you needed to do. So this is the chair you woke up in. There's the gate. So what I did was I walked forward to the gate. I took a slight left, and I followed this path here. And you can see that there's this cloth in front of me. That's what I got stuck on. So if you notice that Julie's not moving forward in the dark, you can just turn slightly more left, and then you should see that light that I picked up. So I just wanted to backtrack that path so you know exactly what it was I did in complete darkness. Now, this is a very interesting experience because it's not very similar to The Evil Within. Sure, it's the same mechanics, it's not even the same mechanics. It's the same game, it's the same universe, and Julie, you control Julie just like Sebastian. Like, the controls are the same, but the mechanics are actually very different. The assignment and the consequence, they both adopt a much more survival horror-ish feel, meaning that for the majority of this game, you do not have a weapon. You rely on stealth, you rely on your flashlights, and you rely on dodging enemies, and that's it. And it can be kind of frustrating at times because I'll be honest, the stealth mechanic is not that great. It's not terrible, but I've played stealth games that are much better because they knew they were stealth games. This game it almost feels like they just said, hey, let's make it stealthy, but let's not actually put a lot of time into developing those stealth mechanics. So in the end, it works. It's a fun experience, but there are some frustrations that come along with that. But that's what I'm here for. I'm going to try to show you how to get past those tricky sections as best I can. Now you're going to be crawling through the vents here, and you're going to see this really, only for a brief second, you'll see this really creepy figure in red heels, and that's going to be kind of our main tormentor for the first 2 levels. So remember, this is the assignment. The assignment is going to be chapters 1 and 2, so it's kind of weird the way they organize this. Julie's experience, it's 4 total chapters. The assignment is chapters 1 and 2, and then the consequence is chapters 3 and 4. So I'm going to be doing the whole thing, obviously, on Kurayami mode, but I just want you to know that's kind of how this is going to work out. Now you're gonna come to this area here, and this is our first kind of first kind of stealth encounter. So you're going to approach this corner here, and you can see the haunted off in the distance. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna crouch behind this structure here. The vents behind me are going to fall to the floor. The haunted is going to run right past me, and I'm just going to go ahead and pry this door open, and that's it. Really easy to sneak through. Now the biggest question you're going to be asking yourself is, how do you sneak past these guys if you have a light on? Because obviously the haunted are going to notice the light, and it turns out that that is not the case. The haunted will never notice the light. So I'm not exaggerating here. You could stand behind a corner and you can literally be shining that light in a haunted's face, and it won't notice. That's just how it works. Otherwise it would be impossible. There's no way you could do this without light. It's impossible. So anyway, this haunted now, he's going to be coming down the hallway. He'll be coming when he comes, so go ahead and prep this bottle that you just picked up, throw it into this room here, and then go ahead and crouch. The haunted's going to run right past you, and then you can just sneak by him. Now, if you do, you'll notice right now I'm not crouching. If an enemy is close, they will hear you running or just walking, but if you're crouched, they won't hear you. So it's kind of a give and take. Sometimes it's easier to just run past an enemy. Sometimes it's easier to crouch past an enemy. But anyway, that one there, she's gonna run, and I'm gonna show you a neat little trick here. You're gonna unlock this door, and you'll actually get an achievement if you do this. So you might wanna do this because the assignment does have a number of achievements that go with it. But anyway, in this room here, you can dial this phone, and the phone in the next room is going to ring. And if you just give it a second, you'll see that the haunted will run right past you, and it will run into that room to answer the phone. Not really, but just to check out what that noise is. So I'm going to hide behind this corner here. The haunted's going to break through the door that I just unlocked. Again, you have to make sure you unlock it. And then once that door shuts, you're just going to go over to this control, lock it, and now the haunted will be locked in that room. You don't have to worry about her. And I already unlocked it on my initial playthrough, but if you do that, you will get yourself a nice little achievement. Anyway, do not go through this door. It's locked, and I forgot what I was doing. Go ahead and get through this vent here, and we're going to go into the next room. Now, just to let you guys know what to expect, the first two chapters are both approximately 40 minutes long, give or take. But that's kind of the average length of these chapters, and I played through them as fast as I could. So, like, there was no, there was no goofing off or dilly-dallying. Anyway, pick up the key card. And then what you're going to want to do, you're going to see that there's a haunted that's about to come into this room. You can't go back into the vent, so just go ahead and get into this locker. Now you're probably saying, Nick, why are you doing that? The haunted saw you get into the locker. You're an idiot. You're going to get killed. But believe it or not, this is something you have to do because the haunted's going to come check you out. But then you see this creepy figure is going to kill the haunted for you. And then I don't exactly know why this happens, but the monster's going to look into the locker, but then just decide to walk away. Like, I feel like it can clearly see me right now, but for some reason it doesn't. And then it gets distracted and runs away. But yeah, this figure's really creepy. It's basically these long female legs wearing red heels, and then its head is like a giant searchlight. And so you can't fight this thing. Again, remember, you don't have weapons or anything like that. You just have to evade it. And it is going to pop up now and again, and you'll have to know what you need to do in order to avoid its glare. Because once it locks its sight on you, you're pretty much done for. But anyway, go ahead and follow this path here, and you'll see these doors, and you'll see the key card. So go ahead and scan that, and you can continue moving on. But anyway, so it's not a coincidence. I'm playing this, or I'm bringing you this video on October 1st. I kind of planned that because The Evil Within 2 is coming out on the 13th, and obviously October is the scary month, the Halloween month. So I said, hey, what if I kind of make October my survival horror month and just do nothing but survival horror games? So right now I'm doing Evil Within DLC, then on the 13th I'll do the main game, Evil Within 2, and then after that maybe I'll do a Let's Play for Outlast or something along those lines. Anyway, after you interact with that computer, you have to crouch behind this desk here. So you'll crouch with the B button, and that's kind of how you take cover against the thing. Because now the Searchlight monster, she's going to come back in. And it's really, this kind of shows how the mechanics are a bit touchy, because you see here that clearly the monster can see me, but because I'm actually physically taking cover against the counter, I'm safe. But if I hadn't been taking cover, if I had just been crouched behind the counter, the monster would have saw me. So it's not entirely realistic how the stealth controls work. And, you know, like I said earlier, if you happen to be shining a flashlight into a haunted's face, if the haunted doesn't see you, it's not going to notice the light. And so obviously that's just not very realistic, but that's how it works. And that actually reminds me, that's another feature of Kurayami mode. The enemies, so on the regular difficulty setting, when the enemy notices you, it will change color, and there'll be this indicator that the enemy knows you're there. On Kurayami mode, that doesn't happen. Or at least that's what the game says, but in reality, when an enemy spots you, there's this distinct noise that you can hear, and so it's actually not hard to know if the haunted sees you or not. And in terms of difficulty, it's a bit weird. So obviously, Akumu mode was entirely different from the regular difficulty. One hit and you're dead, and that's how it worked. And that's what I thought the hardest difficulty on these DLCs was going to be, but they ended up going a different route, and it has to do with the whole survival horror aspect, because even on the lower difficulties, if a haunted captures you, you're probably going to die. Like, Julie can only take 2 hits, and then 2 or 3 hits, and then she's dead. So in Akumu mode would make no sense here, because no matter what difficulty you're playing on, Julie really, she dies kind of fast. She has no defense mechanisms. So that's kind of why they went with this no lights feature. I think they just, you know, they had to come up with something, and they said, okay, we'll just do no lights. I guess they could have done something along the lines of maybe you have to do it in pure stealth, like if an enemy sees you, you die. But that would have actually been really hard, because like I said, the stealth mechanics get a bit wonky at times, and I just don't think that would have worked out. So the no lights feature, it's kind of fun. I think it's fun. But I'm curious to know what you guys think in terms of watching the walkthrough, because if you can't really see the game, is it fun for you to watch? That was kind of my biggest worry here. Like, if you can't see the environment, are you going to enjoy watching this walkthrough? So let me know what you think in the comments below. Either way, I'm gonna, you know, keep playing the game, because I just want to put all of the Evil Within content on my channel. And this is actually a special occasion for my channel, because I've made it a point to never play DLCs for my channel. I just, typically I don't like buying DLCs, but again, I think that speaks to how much I loved this game. I loved it so much that I just wanted to do everything I could for my channel. So I'm going to do, you know, I did Evil Within on Akumu mode. I'm going to do all the DLC on their hardest difficulties, and then I'm going to do Evil Within 2 on whatever its hardest difficulty is. Anyway, when you get to this room here, there's going to be 2 haunted in the area, so you're going to go ahead and sneak to this room here. And this is kind of weird, but you have to do this. So you're going to see a cell phone right here. You have to inspect the cell phone before you can actually call it. So go in here to inspect the cell phone, creep back into here, just make sure that guy doesn't see you. And then what you're going to want to do is interact with this phone right here. Go ahead and crouch one more time. The phone in the other room is going to ring, and we're just going to do the same exact thing as earlier. He's going to run in there, and you're going to lock him inside. Alright, so you should have picked up the glass bottle in the previous room. If you didn't, just go back and pick that up, because there's going to be one more haunted standing in front of the door that we need to exit out of. And to get through that door, you're going to need to pick up a key card. So the key card is going to be right here in this cubicle. I'm going to go ahead and equip my bottle, pick up the key card, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until that haunted is standing in front of the door. Once he is, I'm going to prep this bottle. I'm going to throw it off in the distance, not too far, otherwise he won't hear it. But then he's going to run towards it. So you saw right there, just barely you could see the glimmer of his skin run by. They glow yellow for some reason. I don't know why, but in the DLC, the haunted glow yellow, and if they see you, they'll glow red. I don't know where that comes from. Maybe they just did it to enhance the stealth mechanic. Like, it makes it easier to know if the enemy sees you or not. But that's just how it works. So get past that room and continue on your path. And yeah, so like I was saying earlier, this is the first time I've done a DLC for my channel. But the main inspiration was I wanted to... I was really determined to get 100% of the achievements for this game, and some of those achievements include beating the DLCs on the hardest setting, Kurayami mode. So at this time, I actually only have one more achievement to get, and that is for beating the Consequence on Kurayami mode. But we'll get to that when we get to it. Now right here, a little puzzle. You have to line up this object properly and then shine your light on it to unlock this door. Now you're going to come in here and you're going to see a desk with a symbol on it that you can light up. And once you do so, that will trigger a brief little cutscene between Jimenez and the mysterious Mobius man.
This is not a negotiation, Dr. Jimenez. We're expected to reach a solution, hence the founding of this facility.
I understand that, and I appreciate the time you've given me.
Time has a limit, and we're approaching that point. If you've outspent your usefulness, we will need to find someone more suitable.
Let's not be so hasty. I've done tests with our visual diagnosis, and there is something I must speak to you about. Please, come with me. The projector is in the next room.
Alright, so after the first piece of dialogue, go ahead and follow the direction they went, and you're going to come to another room with a projector in it, and you're going to have to focus your light on the projector stand, and that will initiate a second piece of dialogue. So right here, scan or focus it, and then here you go.
It's my hypothesis that we haven't succeeded because so far we've only been using visuals, audio stimuli, passive influence, even on my patients with limited mental capacity. This method is rejected by the user. If we are to accomplish what we intend, we will need to refocus. We need direct access.
And what do you propose?
It's, how shall I say, a pet project of sorts. A mecho-chemical process. With it, we should be able to have a direct influence on the individual, potentially even access their subconscious. I have the data in the next room. Let me show you.
That video. I remember they showed me that when I was brought here.
And then we got to do one more thing. So you're gonna see their flashbacks go into this room here. I don't know what else to call it. And there's gonna be 3 whiteboards that we need to focus. So first one's gonna be right here to the right of the entrance. So focus on it, and you'll see some research papers come up. Then go ahead and just cross to the other side of the room. There's gonna be the second whiteboard. And now if you go back to that center path and walk towards the opposite end of the room and then take a right, you'll see the third and final whiteboard tucked back here. And then after you focus on it, that will trigger one more piece of dialogue.
This research here, this is exactly what we've been looking for. I call it STEM. I'm sure you and your superiors will find this most satisfactory.
You mentioned the design was from a pupil of yours. In that case, where do you fit in?
He is an unstable individual. Perhaps it is better that I continue to be the one to contact in this situation.
I'd like you to bring this man in. We should all be able to have a productive conversation. What did you say his name was?
Ruben Victoriano.
Alright, and so after that, you're going to want to stay just crouched for a second because you're going to hear some noises, and you're going to hear that Searchlight monster pop into the room. Now, you don't really have to worry about her, but I just wanted to turn off my light to be safe because that thing scares the crap out of me. But anyway, eventually, you don't have to worry about it. It will go away, and then you'll see that those doors automatically open, and we can continue on our quest. So yeah, we only have a little bit more to do. And I'm curious to know if you guys have played The Evil Within. Have you played the DLCs? So another reason I typically don't do DLC on my channel is because I just don't like buying DLC. I think my voice just cracked there, taking me back to ninth grade all over again. Anyway, I do not like buying DLCs. I am a big believer in the fact that we already pay $60 for new video games. I believe that all DLC after that should be free. Now, I understand that people put a lot of work into this DLC, but I just don't think DLC should be charged. That being said, I bought this DLC, a couple weeks ago, so the game's already been out for 3 years. So the DLC for me, it cost, I think, $4 a piece. I don't know what the original asking price was, but because I love this game so much, I was fine with paying the extra, the extra $12. But in general, I am not a fan of paying for DLC. But one thing I really like about this DLC, so there's a big difference between DLCs, in my opinion. There's meaningful DLC, and then there's just bullshit DLC. Now, the bullshit DLC is the stuff like extra skin packs, or extra maps, or extra combat maps, or things like that. The DLC that I really like is not only DLC that pertains to the main story, but that actually ties into the main story. So, my favorite DLC of all time is the Separate Ways campaign in Resident Evil 4. And that's not a coincidence. Already we know that Resident Evil 4 is my favorite game of all time. But the reason the Separate Ways DLC is so meaningful is because throughout the main campaign, Leon, he gets saved a couple of times from like an unknown third party, and then you end up finding out that third party is Ada. But so during the game, you find out that Ada is doing her own thing the entire time, and so you're kind of left to wonder, what is she doing? Why is she there? And that's what Separate Ways answers. In Separate Ways, you play as Ada, and you do the behind-the-scenes stuff. You see why Ada is doing what she's doing, how she's doing what she's doing, and you actually get to do those things that saved Leon in the main game. And that's exactly what this DLC does. So in the main game, Julie Kidman is off doing her own thing. We soon find out as Sebastian that she's part of a third party. She actually has her own mission, and so, during the main game, we're kind of left with the question, well, why? Why is she doing this? How did she start doing this, and what is her end game? And that's what this DLC does. And so this type of DLC is my favorite type of DLC that actually contributes to the main plot of the game. And believe it or not, I was very surprised by this, but there is a cutscene at the very end of Chapter 4 in The Consequence that it's a very important cutscene. Like, it's a huge deal. What happens in that cutscene, it's a huge deal, and it's going to carry over into The Evil Within 2, so I'm not going to spoil anything at this point, but what happens in the final cutscene is huge. It's a big deal, and it blows my mind that they included that in a DLC, because the truth of the matter is most people don't play the DLCs. So a lot of people are going to pick up The Evil Within 2. They're gonna come across this stuff, and they're gonna say, how did this happen? Like, how is this just a thing? And then they're not gonna know that it was actually revealed in the DLC. So if you care at all about the Evil Within story, I highly recommend you follow along with this walkthrough and watch the cutscenes. If you don't care, then well, if you don't care, I don't know why you're here anyway. But yeah, I'll just go ahead and let you know. Now we're going to come across a new type of enemy here. These are the corpses, I think they're called, and they are blind. And the only way they'll know you're here is if you get too close to them or if you make too much noise, and when that happens, they will glow yellow, and that's the sign that they're tracking you. And then if they glow red, that means they're about to explode, and if they're too close to you when they explode, you're gonna die. So you see that guy right there, he was red because he heard me, I called him over, and then I just snuck around him. And so that's one of the things Julie can do. You can call out when you're taking cover. You can press the X button to call out and lure enemies to your location, and then that's often how you get around them. But yeah, so in this area here, we're just gonna have to dodge a few of these corpses. So go ahead and pull this lever. That's going to open up this pathway. And now you see that guy right there. You're not going to have to worry about him. Just wait for this gate to keep sliding. And then, there you go. You're through. Now this part can be a little tricky. These guys move very fast, but they always go in the same path. They always go in the same circular path. So what you're going to want to do is you can see the gate off in the distance, but you're going to have to time this correctly because the gate will slam shut at certain points. And so you only have a limited amount of time to actually get through it. So you see right here, I'm going to get up to the gate, and then I realized I was too late, so I backtracked. Now I'm going to make my move for it. So I'm going to let this guy go past me. I'm going to sneak up right behind him. And you see how that just worked out perfectly, and you're going to get into this location here. Now you're going to see this cart, pick up this bottle. You might want to pick that up. That's going to come in handy later on, actually, in the next level, I think. But pick that bottle up. You don't need to, but if you find a bottle, you might as well pick it up. But push that cart, and it will actually explode the corpse on the other side. And now we're going to have to get to that other side. So to do that, you're going to exit out into this main area. Again, just be careful that make sure you dodge these guys and walk in the right path, because they are faster than you. They do move very fast. But there's going to be another one right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of tuck myself into this corner here. Let him make another pass. Now follow him. And then there's another corner you can kind of hide in right here. And now once again we're just going to wait for this gate to open. And then we're going to make sure that the corpse isn't near us. So you see right here, I was going to make a move for it, but I thought the corpse might run into me, so I decided to wait until one more pass. And there he goes. And here we go. Get inside. Hop on top of the cart. And climb up the ladder. And we're actually almost done. We're getting close to the end here. So this one, I guess I mistook my times. This one is about 50 minutes long. The next level is 40 minutes long, so on average we're looking at, on average it's 45 minutes. But I guess the average doesn't really matter in this case. But anyway, go ahead and interact with this machine, and now you will be good. Your ID card will be fully upgraded, and you can continue on with your objective. Alright. Another reason I really love this DLC is because not only does it contribute to the main game story, but the main game story is very convoluted. Like, I remember the first 2 times I played The Evil Within, I had no idea what was going on. I did not know what STEM was. I did not know how Ruvik was doing the things he was doing. And then, you learned about Jimenez and this other company called Mobius, but I walked away very unsatisfied with the story. And, so that's another reason I like this DLC, because it really kind of highlights more of that story. Anyway, open the elevator, and this haunted's going to pop out, so just go ahead and run a circle around him, get back to the elevator before it shuts, and then it will automatically shut the haunted out. But yeah, so overall this is a very fun DLC. If you haven't played it, and if you're looking at possibly revisiting The Evil Within before the sequel comes out, then you might want to play these as well. But if you're in a situation where you can't play them right now, then hopefully this walkthrough is the next best thing. So go ahead, and you should recognize this area. We've been here before, but previously when we tried to scan our hand right here, it didn't work. That's why we had to update our credentials, which is exactly what we just went through hell to do. And now we can continue on. Alright, so go down these stairs here. I'd like to know what you guys think about this mode, Kurayami mode. Do you think this is a unique, hardest difficulty? Do you think it's a stupid idea? What do you think? What do you think about shrouding the game in complete darkness and only having a flashlight to light your way? I'm curious to know what you guys think of this difficulty setting. I think it's, like I said, I think it's unique. I think it was a bold move. I think it paid off in the end. But it definitely has some flaws, which you will definitely appreciate more if you play it for yourself. Because one can only explain the flaws so much. They really don't become apparent until you try to get past them yourself. Anyway, we're at the end here. what we're going to have to do is we're essentially going to have to face off against the Searchlight monster, but when I say face off, I basically mean we're just going to have to evade her until the elevator starts working. So you're going to be crouched, you're in a server room, and you're going to notice that the elevator just shut down, an error has occurred, of course it has, and the Searchlight monster is going to enter the room. And so what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to run around this room evading her gaze until the elevator powers back up. Now, eventually some of these servers in here are going to they're going to start like a little electrical fire, and so some of your pathways are going to be blocked. But so what I recommend doing at the very beginning is just sticking to the outer perimeter of this room. So just run along the edges. So you see right here, I accidentally got caught by her gaze. When that happens, try to get away as quickly as possible, because once she sees you, you actually will slow down, and you can't run faster until you escape her gaze. And then, of course, after you've been out of her gaze for about 10 seconds, 15 seconds, then it'll go back to normal, and she won't be able to know where you are. So anyway, I'm just going to stand here. Notice how I'm not taking cover. I'm just rotating the camera so that I can see her without her being able to see me. That's a very, very useful strategy. Alright, so now you see this is our first little electrical fire I was talking about. So now we can't go down that little alleyway anymore. So that's just something to keep in mind. And more of those are going to pop up the more the elevator has time to power up. So I'm just being patient here. I'm just trying to wait. I'm going to run, and you see there's another fire right here. So I'm going to kind of backtrack. Unfortunately, those little things don't hurt her. They only hurt you. Of course, that's how it works. But anyway, I ran back to this side of the room now, and somehow she knew I was over here. She spotted me once again. Overall, this isn't really hard, but it might take you like 2 or 3 tries. This one took me 2 tries to do successfully. And now as soon as the elevator's power on, give it about 2 seconds for the doors to open. So you see right here, the elevator actually has to come into place, and then you're just going to run inside, and then you don't have to worry. It will automatically trigger this event where she runs into the door, but you no longer have to worry about her. And there you have it, guys. That is the end of Chapter 1. That is the first half of the assignment DLC. The next video is going to be a lot of fun. I hope you're looking forward to it. But yeah, so as soon as you get out of this elevator, continue on your path, and you're going to see Sebastian and Joseph, and then that will kind of trigger an ending cutscene, and then I'll sign off at the end of the video. But let me know what you think. Let me know if this was enjoyable, if you like the fact of me doing more DLC. But yeah, so go ahead and run up here, and then you'll see a cutscene which shows how this kind of ties into the main game.
Okay, make it convincing. Detectives! I'm here! I'm safe! Sebastian! Joseph!
Mobius. So they sent you to take the boy back. And you trust him. Don't kid yourself. You're just as expendable as your partners are. As I was. After all I did for them. We'll see how loyal you are when you know the truth.
Are you all right?
Do you wish to remain in the dark about information that will undoubtedly disturb you?
Alright, and that's it for Chapter 1. So, thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe if you get the chance, and I'll see you in the next video.